Be ready? Start. I do not agree with you. I have represented in the Uttar Pradesh Legislative Assembly also and have seen in each session that whenever any discussion regarding the social and economic upliftment of these castes was held in Uttar Pradesh Assembly, the most of issues which were raised in the Assembly were related to the separation of the scheduled castes living in the western Uttar Pradesh at the hands of the forward castes. Had their economic condition been strong in western Uttar Pradesh, they, instead of being the victims of the separation, might have faced their oppressor effectively. Why is their condition discussed in the Legislative Assembly? If it is strong one, do not give such arguments and listen attentively to what I am saying. Para. The list of these castes has been prepared on one basis, and since the basis is same, so a Harijan will continue to be a Harijan only at every place wherever he goes for earnings. His livelihood, whether one goes from Uttar Pradesh to Kerala or from Kerala to Lucknow or Kanpur or Uttar Pradesh, or from Bihar to Punjab or Haryana, or from Haryana or Punjab to Bombay or any other place of Maharashtra, and so on. There will be no change in his social status. Hence, preparation of a national list applicable throughout the country would, in my opinion, provide justice to this class of people. Para. I had submitted to you that the issue which I have raised makes a hint to an important point. If state-wise lists are done away with and lists are prepared on a national level, there would be rise of neo-consciousness and nationalism after ending all sorts of parochialism among the scheduled castes and tribes. Para. Mr. Speaker, sir, through you, I would like to submit after 72 years of independence, the members of the scheduled castes and tribes community, irrespective of their districts and provinces, possess at least the right to go and to earn their livelihood in any part of the country. They also have rights to breathe in the open air like others. Though they might go to any part of the country, there is not any change in their social status and economic condition. Then the question arises as to why they should be debarred from getting the facilities at new places which they used to avail of earlier at their original places. Would you not like to end the feeling of regionalism among them and to inculcate the spirit of nationalism and consciousness among them? Para. The war could have been evaded second time too during the Cairo meeting of the Arab nations. There also it was possible the discussions could have been led in that way. But again, the way the President of Egypt conducted the meeting, all such possibilities were neutralized. That was about the 12th of August. At that time, as I have said, it was possible to avoid war. Para. It was again possible in January itself when the United Nations Secretary General went to Baghdad and had meeting with both the Foreign Minister and Saddam Hussein. I do not know why his report was not made public then. This report clearly states that Saddam Hussein was willing to listen, and that was my impression also when I met Saddam Hussein in August as well. I did not think that Saddam Hussein was inflexible. All those who now project that war was foreseeable all that time live in a world that is far away from reality. All of those who were dealing with diplomacy at one level or the other were not only hoping but also believing that war could be avoided and the lingering problem could be sorted out peacefully. Now we see that it is the peaceful citizens who have suffered and are in the midst of misery. Para. Saying this, I do not mean that in any way India at any stage condoned the occupation of Kuwait by Iraq. We were in step with the rest of the world. Very frequently in this house I had myself presented and enunciated details of other policies as the Gulf crisis was developed. Para. I had stated that our policy was three-pronged, rather four-pronged. One, we were against the occupation of Kuwait. We wanted Kuwait to be evacuated. We were keen that this problem should be sorted over peacefully. That is why, even while voting in the United Nations, every time we said it. Last time when I addressed the United Nations at the end of September, I insisted on it. I said that the problem could be and should be sorted out peacefully. The third aspect that persistently emphasized was that it should be possible to work out a solution of entire problem of West Asia. This is the three-pronged policy. Then there was a fourth dimension of it. That dimension was very close to our lists. It was the fate and lot of our fellow citizens living in Kuwait and in Iraq. Stop.